Under the gray, heavy sky of Royal Leamington Spa in 1875, a child was born in a cold house, where the scent of incense and the prayers of a fanatical Christian family filled the air. His name was Edward Alexander Crowley. He opened his eyes for the first time within walls etched with countless crosses. But those eyes, they seemed to see something far beyond the divine light. His mother, Emily, once recalled in a fit of panic that when Crowley was still in his cradle, candles in the room would extinguish on their own, and whispers with no clear source echoed from dark corners. "He is not human," she trembled, but no one believed her. Crowley grew up suffocating under the weight of faith. His father, a wealthy preacher, forced him to memorize every verse of the Bible. But Crowley's heart did not belong to God. He had strange dreams, shadows reaching from beneath the ground, symbols spiraling like demonic eyes. As a teenager, he began to rummage through the family's forbidden library, reading old, dusty books about magic and ancient beings. One night, under a blood-red moon, Crowley scribbled his first arcane symbols. They would later appear in 777 and other Kabbalistic writings, 1909. A book that unveiled the connection between numbers, letters, and the invisible realms. He felt a chill crawl down his spine, as if the darkness had chosen him. In 1898, Crowley stepped fully into the occult world, joining the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. There, in candlelit rituals, cloaked magicians summoned entities, and drew protective circles to ward off things that should not be named. But Crowley grew impatient. He craved the edge, wanted to hear the call from the depths more clearly. He clashed with the masters of the Golden Dawn. Isolated, the shadows inside him thickened. He began experimenting with opium, believing it opened gateways to other dimensions. Then came the climax of the curse. In 1904, in Cairo, Egypt, in a suffocating room surrounded by desert heat, Crowley and his wife, Rose Kelly, experienced strange, unexplainable days. Rose, often dreamy and distracted, suddenly slipped into a trance, whispering the name of a being, Aiwass. Crowley, ink-stained notebook in hand, scribbled down every word she said. On the night of April 8th, as the clock struck midnight, an unnatural cold wind swept through the room. Even though the windows were tightly shut, Crowley's throat went dry. His hands trembled. Then it came. A voice, not of this world, spoke in his mind. For 3 days he wrote feverishly, creating the Book of the Law. This would become the foundation of the religion Thelema. The words burned crimson across the page. "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." The Book of the Law, 1904. Each line felt like a dagger, not written, but carved into his soul. A curse, unbreakable. When he finished, Crowley looked into a mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. His eyes now vast and hollow like an abyss. He declared himself the Great Beast 666. The whispers in the dark were no longer dreams. They were clear. They were calling. Cairo, with its ancient pyramids and desert winds, had witnessed the rebirth of Aleister Crowley. No longer human, but the living embodiment of an ancient curse, ready to shake the world with magic and desire. In 1920, on the coast of Cefalù, Italy, where the waves whispered like the breath of demons, Aleister Crowley built the Abbey of Thelema, a temple of desire and darkness. The decaying house, with its stained walls and mist-covered windows, became a furnace for occult rituals. Under the pale moonlight, Crowley, now with wild hair and eyes burning like embers, led his followers, lost souls drawn to him like moths to flame. He taught them the secrets from magic in theory and practice, 1911. Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. In the main chamber, a magical circle was drawn in goat's blood. Spiraling symbols like demonic eyes covered the floor, while opium smoke rose into the air, mingling with the low rhythmic chants. Each night, the Abbey of Thelema transformed into another realm. The disciples, cloaked in black, knelt before an altar engraved with the image of Baphomet, murmuring incantations from the Book of the Law. Crowley stood in the center of the circle, arms outstretched, as if summoning a presence from the unseen. The candles flickered without wind. Sometimes, a screech, like claws raking against wood, echoed from the basement. Locals began whispering about shadows passing behind the Abbey's windows at midnight, about cries with no source. Some claimed they saw Crowley standing on the cliffs, talking to the air, as if the darkness was answering back. But the darkness didn't only dwell in the rituals. A young follower, Raoul Loveday, suddenly fell ill after a long ceremony. He coughed blood. His eyes sank deep into his skull. He whispered of eyes in the walls. When Raoul died, rumors spread like wildfire. They said Crowley had performed a sacrifice, that the blood of a disciple was the price for a forbidden rite. The British press roared, branding him the wickedest man in the world. Under pressure, the Italian authorities expelled Crowley from Cefalù in 1923. But before leaving, he scrawled a curse on the abbey wall. "He who enters here shall never escape." The house was abandoned. Yet people claimed that chanting could still be heard on nights of the full moon. Crowley wandered across Europe, dragging the shadows behind him. He wrote the Book of Thoth, 1944, unveiling the secrets of tarot and supernatural realms, as if daring anyone to follow him through that door. In every city he visited, Paris, Berlin, Lisbon, horrors followed. People who read his books lost their minds. They dreamed of demons. Crowley was no longer a man. He was a black wind, carrying away the souls of the weak. The Abbey of Thelema, though now in ruins, remains a monument to his magical power, a place where the moonlight never fades, and the darkness never sleeps. In 1947, inside a crumbling house in Hastings, England, Aleister Crowley lay on a creaking bed, his body ravaged by heroin and illness. No longer the mighty great beast 666 of days past. He was now only a shadow. Skin clung to bone. His breath rasped like wind sweeping through a graveyard. But his eyes, all those eyes, still burn, deep and dark, as if gazing beyond the veil between life and death. The room reeked of opium. Old books stacked in corners. Pages from the Book of the Law, 1904, yellowed and brittle, fluttered in an invisible breeze. He murmured, "Love is the law, love under will," as if the final incantation might anchor his soul to the mortal realm. In his final days, Crowley had no followers, no Abbey of Thelema. Those who once revered him now kept their distance, fearing the rumor. Anyone too close to Crowley for too long would be swallowed by the darkness. But he was not alone. Each night, whispers rose from the invisible realm, as if Aiwass, the entity who once inspired the Book of the Law, was still watching. One night, at the stroke of 3 a.m., the devil's hour, a single candle in the room burst into flame. No one had lit it. Crowley smiled. His cracked lips bled. He scribbled one final message into a notebook. "I am the door. I am the key." No one knew what he meant, but those words, when found later, made readers shiver. On December 1st, as a storm howled beyond the windows, Crowley took his last breath. At that moment, a sharp, screeching sound tore through the air, like claws raking through nothingness. The candle went out. A black mist, from no visible source, poured through the cracks in the walls. The landlady, upon entering, swore she saw a shadow standing by Crowley's bed, but no one was there. He was gone, but his curse remained. They say Crowley's soul never died, transformed into a wandering force. It haunts those who dare open his books. Those who read the symbols in 777 and other Kabbalistic writings, 1909, or mutter the verses from the Book of Thoth, 1944. Crowley's legacy lives on, an immortal curse. Bands like Led Zeppelin, with Jimmy Page owning Crowley's old house at Loch Ness, were bewitched by his magic. Secret orders still chant Thelema rituals under moonlight, and dreams of the great beast haunt the curious. He is dead. But every page, every sigil, every spell is a door into the dark. Somewhere, in the unseen realms, Crowley's whispers still echo, waiting for the next soul, brave or foolish enough to enter his world. A world where light does not exist, and the curse never ends.